Dust is in my eyes, my blood is on the ground. Quiet little chuckle and the shuffling of the boots of the coward that shot me down. He turns toward the sunrise and I hear him softly say, I guess you've met your macho man as the colors fade to gray.
Howdy, partners. Dust and Blood is a rabble-rousing, rootin'-tootin', bronco-bustin' podcast not suitable for the ears of young'uns. Take a gander at the content warnings and listen with care.
Welcome to Dust and Blood, a narrative play podcast set in the wild, weird fantasy West. I'm Blake, your GM, and our players are Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Zach Parker as Moz Copernicus Pryor, and Gail Parker as Bonesaw. Last time on Dust and Blood, our heroes discovered the limits of their alcohol intake at the Lucky Strike Saloon, and witnessed Moz summon hell on Earth at the mayor's birthday party. After the giant, blowout that Moz provides for everybody, the big old party, everyone's excited. The rest of the day is filled with everybody having a grand old time, relaxing.
Last we had left off from the previous episode, Bonesaw had turned into his alter ego, and Myra had just kind of, and he reacted to like all the hellish stuff that was popping out. And Myra had asked him, what are you doing here? And he said very, very suavely, here to see the show. So I think she would have actually probably done something not so kosher and probably would have asked Bonesaw, or the alter ego of Bonesaw, what experience he has had with the railroad, or people like Myra who have driven people off land before, because she's really curious to find out, but she figures maybe he won't squeal, maybe Bonesaw won't remember. So she basically tries to look him in the eye as best as she can, and she goes, I'm guessing you're Bonesaw's friend, but I was wondering, can you tell me what happened in Bonesaw's experience to... Was he pushed off land? Was his family pushed off land? Does he know anything regarding the Diamondbacks or any other railroad? I just want to know. I just want to know if it was me or somebody I know.
The person inside Bonesaw thinks for a long moment and then says, "It had nothing to do with you. When he said a similar experience with large companies taking advantage of those without means. Not the railroads, though.
Who was it?
The Smith brothers."
She logs that away, and then she kind of looks around and she gives a nod and goes, all right. Thank you. Smith Brothers. Would I know that?
Probably not. You can roll a knowledge history, but it's going to be a pretty high DC for you, just letting you know.
Okay, I am not trained in it, so here goes. I was a 13.
Smith Brothers, the most you know is you think you've had, like, cough drops in the past, like, that said Smith Brothers on them.
Okay.
But
yeah,
that's all you recognize with it.
What in tarnation did a bunch of cough drop people do to Bonesaw?
It's a little too late in the day for any big things, and most shops are closed down. So you'll have to wait until Monday before really doing anything and then heading out to head to the Pozo Oscuro Mines, which I believe that's where you guys decided you're going. You're going Pozo Oscuro, and then you're going to try and track down the inoculations, yes. So, does anybody have anything that they want to get done before they leave town?
I need to acquire a horse
Okay.
so I can keep up with everyone else.
Your last one got blowed up.
I've lost track of my horses and mounts lately. I'm pretty sure my last one got killed as well, but yeah, I think I blew that one up. I should probably join Bonesaw.
Okay. Is it just you two going, or are you going to collect Jasper and Myra to come with you?
I don't need any horse, but I'll be welcome to go for a walk.
I think Myra's probably elsewhere
Ooh, interesting.
at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Spiciness.
Okay, so we're all wandering around without Myra, though, and Jasper's along for the ride.
Okay. Roll a perception check.
I got a 14.
14 and a 22. Yeah, both of those are definitely easy enough. You're able to find that the Farmers Collective has the most horses in town. You also happen to see a poster hanging from the main notice board in town.
Ooh. Bonesaw's eye is definitely drawn by this glossy Fabergé egg. The Wells Ferngrip Bank downtown petition, home of the famous golden egg. Visit today for all your banking and loan needs. All applicants considered. No credit or down payments required. See Oris Vicnar today. 1,500 prize for the completion of the Golden Goose Challenge. Oh, Mozzie, doesn't that look exciting? Most banks won't give me any money.
No, I wonder why that is, Bones. Suppose we could peek?
Let's have a look. I was just thinking, a regular old horse. I mean, that's all right, but Stella has this really fun one.
It did look pretty fun. You sure we can't just ride the same horse to town? I'm pretty small, you're pretty big. We can balance each other out.
Oh, yes, it could probably hold us both. Especially if we just need it for a little while until the cart is all settled. Why don't we go see what they've got at the bank?
Let's go take a look.
You all track around and, following the map that you were given when you first entered town, make your way to the Wells Ferngrip Bank in town. It is a fairly impressive looking building. Large stonework. Honestly, it looks a little bit more secure than you'd expect for a smaller frontier town. Like, this is something you'd expect more in Albuquerque or Phoenix than in, little old Perdition. As you walk inside, it is beautifully inlaid, 2 stories, a set of stairs going up, large, comfortable leather chairs all around, a couple of candelabras, candles going, making sure there's plenty of light, oil lanterns throughout. Distinct lack of people. There really doesn't seem like there's that many people here in the bank.
Have you ever been to a bank, Jasper?
Not in maybe 20 years. Yeah, it's pretty fancy for out here. Yeah, sure.
All right. Bonesaw will march up to the counter, sort of slap a hand down and say, I would like to get some money, please.
There's about 2 beats before, at the top of the stairs, you hear a, "Oh, wonderful!" And you look up, and the silver dragonborn that you had seen the previous day at the mayor's birthday, carrying a small book, very kind of old world stylings, has some metal armor pieces, a blue coat with a little white ruff. He comes down and says, "Welcome to Wells Ferngrip Bank. I'm Ors Vicna. What can I do for you today?"
Oh, well, I would like to buy a really cool horse, but I can't afford it, so I have some notion banks are supposed to help with that.
Oh, you've come here for a loan, haven't you?
Yes, that one.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, as I'm certain that you know, the Wells Ferngrip Bank is the top lender in these here United States. We don't have to worry about the blue scale. We're much more well-insured and able to take care of all of your funds. Now, why don't you come with me? Would you care for a drink while we sit down to discuss all of this wonderful work?
Oh, certainly. What have you got? Mozzie, a drink? I know Jasper isn't so much on the liquids.
Never gonna turn down free alcohol?
I'll just sit here and be quiet as a little church mouse over here in the corner.
Oh, wonderful. Come up to my office. We'll sit down and we'll see what we can do. I'm certain that we can find something that is to your liking. Oris leads you up the stairs to his very large and stately office, kind of smack dab in the middle of the bank. Once again, you see maybe 2 people in this entire bank besides Oris that appear to just be sitting down, not even really, like, working. It's more of the just, I'm appearing to work kind of vibe. And Oris pulls out a couple of chairs for you, Moz and Jasper, and pulls out a bottle of whiskey and pours 3 drinks. Hands one to Moz, one to Bonesaw, and takes one for himself and says, "Now, why don't we discuss the potential terms of this loan? Well, I haven't heard your name yet. What is your name?"
Oh, hello, I'm Bonesaw, and this is... Bonesaw remembers Moz telling him not to use his full name. This is my friend Moz, and this is Jasper.
Tip my hat.
Oh, wonderful to meet all of you. Bonesaw and Moz and Jasper. And he goes around and shakes each of your hands, still holding the drink the entire time. Now, come. I'm certain you've heard all about our wonderful rates. Now, tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, this loan that you want, this horse. I'm sure that we can... A simple $50 is for a horse is quite reasonable.
Oh, well, it's actually an $8,000 horse.
He was raising the glass and just coughs and sets it down. $8,000, you say?
Yes, it's very special.
I see. That's... well... $8,000, okay. Well, I mean, we can certainly do that, too. Of course, like I said, we're the top lender in the country. To suggest otherwise would be... Of course we can afford that. Now, he snaps his fingers, and one of the attendants comes and says, please go and pull some of the money from the vault, $8,000 worth, and bring the standard contract.
Oh, goody! As an aside to Jasper, Bonesaw says, this is going much better than I thought it would.
That's to say the least. I would like to do an insight or sense motive check on this here feller.
Okay, go for it.
Bloop. 6. Seems on the up and up, though.
Yep, 100% on the up and up. There's nothing wrong with what's going on. He's just a very friendly Dragonborn.
Yep, must have an awful lot of filthy lucre back there to just pull 8,000 out, though. I'm really impressed. This place is even fancier than I thought.
Myra should have come.
I feel like Moz is a very untrustworthy person. Can he also try a sense motive?
Go for it. Yep.
Alright. Not much better.
A 10 is enough that you know this guy seems a little too eager, and he's definitely rushing the process. Like, you would expect somebody that's getting ready to give out this much money to be a little bit more suspicious.
Yeah.
Damn it, I should really be there. Damn it.
Bonesaw, he sits down, picking up the drink again and just holding it, and says, "Now, why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself, Mr. Bonesaw? You're one of those folks that has been causing a lot of interesting times in town, aren't you?"
Oh, always. You know how it is when you're such an interesting person. What sort of things do you want to know?
Why don't you tell me a little bit about the work that you do? What do you do for work? How do you make your money?
I happen to be a medical doctor. I have a very prestigious degree, and I serve the community of sick that is everywhere, and also travel with my companions, and we get up to all sorts of adventures.
Oris nods and says, I see, yes, all sorts of adventures. This is the kind of place for those kinds of adventures. You get out amongst the outlaws and such, and can get into all sorts of dust-ups. Now, tell me, what are you thinking for payment terms? Of course, we could go for something a bit of a... If you're looking for something on a short term, we could do a much quicker rate of just 1 year, and you'd be paid off. Wouldn't have to worry about anything ever again. If you're wanting something longer term, you could go 5 years or so, but that would be such a heavy burden on you for a while.
Let's call it a year and see how it goes.
Wonderful.
No! Damn it.
Of course, this kind of year is a lender's market, and the person comes in with a small lockbox and sets it down and has a contract there and sets it down next to Oris and says, of course, this is a lender's market, with all of the nastiness that happened a couple of years ago. But...
what nastiness would that be?
Oh, there was a bit of a market crash a couple of years ago, and one of our major competitors couldn't fulfill all of their bonds to the railroads, and well, you know how it goes.
And what happened to them?
Well, let's just say that we gained quite a few customers that day as they were run out of business.
Well, it sounds like you're the more reputable of the two banks.
Absolutely. Now, of course, with somebody of your stature and your willingness, I'm certain you want to get this paid off as quickly as possible. Am I correct?
Yes, that sounds good. Whatever you say.
Oh, perfect. Then we're going to just settle for payment once a week. That sounds fair to me. And we need to get this done and over with, so what do you say to a 15% rate? I mean, nice. I'll give you the family and friends discount. Normally it's a 20% interest rate, but 15% because I like you so much.
Can I roll like an appraise check or something to know if that's a fair rate?
Yeah. Roll appraise.
21.
21? That is so fucking unfair. Like, that is highway fucking robbery of an interest rate.
Bonesaw knocks back the rest of the whiskey and says, well, thank you for the whiskey. I'm afraid you aren't the bank for me. That just sounds like far too high.
No. Okay. No. Let's discuss. You're right. 15%. That's pretty high. Why don't we bring it down 10%? 10%.
Do I need to do a new appraise check?
That's still pretty high.
You're looking for more like 3% or 4%.
Bonesaw, could I have a word with you over here in the corner?
Certainly.
Where I'm sitting quiet as a church mouse?
Let me consult with my accountant and lawyer, Jasper, over here in the corner.
We don't need to bring in lawyers into this. 5%.
No, it's fine. We'll just have a quiet word.
Okay.
Bonesaw? Now, I know that you are a business person, but and this fella seems on the up and up, but between you and me, I think he is slicker than snot on a glass doorknob.
Oh.
And although I can't poke a hole in his arguments, because I don't have that much experience with the world of high finance, I just do not trust this. And how are you going to make weekly payments?
Well, I was going to...
We're big damn heroes. We're riding the range. We're out there fighting the good fight for folks what can't fight good.
I was going to ask him about that. He might be able to budge on some of these terms. And between you and me, we move around so much. What's he going to do if,
And I gotta ask you, is this about that there mechanized horse out there?
Jasper, tell me, is it not the coolest horse you ever saw?
Second coolest, maybe.
Oh, Sorry. Yes, that's fair. That's fair. Smokey is one of a kind.
Yeah, but, I mean, how much do you... Listen, your last horse done got blowed up. What happens if this one gets blowed up? You broke an ear off the dang thing riding out of town.
Well, I talked to Stella about that. We've become quite good friends. I think she'd be willing to fix it up. I might just have to pay for repairs.
Well, it's your money. I won't say yay or nay. I can't stop you, but to me, this sounds plumb local.
Well, technically, it's the bank's money.
Yeah, it'll be the bank's horse, and perhaps your future. If, for instance, say you were to buy this horse and it were to suffer an unfortunate accident out there on the trail. I'm just saying, $50 will get you a nice disposable horse.
Well, how are they going to find me if I decide not to follow up is the thing.
This guy's a dragon porn. They probably got some sort of dragon mafia kind of thing going on. I'd be willing to bet that they got contacts. I turn and smile at him.
He smiles back, the very wicked pointed fangs, as he holds the still undrunk whiskey.
Look, Jasper, the big man is always winning in these scenarios. But I think here's a chance for me to win. Do you know, I don't think I've ever run into a bank that would actually give a loan to just anyone.
And why do you think that is?
They're very stupid.
Well, I think that fella just done told us what happens to stupid banks. And I don't think you want to really do business with one that's none too smart. If you get my meaning there.
Well, maybe it's the sweet spot between, stupid enough to lend me money, but smart enough to stay in business.
And just for consideration here, maybe they ain't. All right, well, I'll wash my hands of the whole thing. I think this is plumb loco, and I think you'd do just as well with a $50 horse that we could name Rosebud or something like that. But if you want some sort of mechanical contraption...
Well, listen, between you and me,
Yeah?
I don't plan to have the loan for very long. I've got this very cool magical plant. Bonesaw pulls out the sad-looking goodberry bush.
One leaf falls off of it.
And I'm pretty sure that I can sell it in Albuquerque for quite a bit, but don't tell the bank man that.
Turn and smile again. This fella hasn't even asked about collateral against your loan. This is plumb loco. Bonesaw, don't do this. Alright, I've said my piece though. You do as you will.
Well, I hear you, Jasper, and you're very smart. Do you want to roll, diplomacy or something?
Sure. Yeah, that'll go really well here. Let's see. This is my 5th worst roll. Actually, I take that back. Looking down, it is my worst roll because I don't have any ranks in it. Here we go.
Jasper sounds very diplomatic to me, though. How is this true?
I'm just not very convincing. I talk a good talk, but something about the way that I talk just doesn't sound like it's too authoritative.
Heart's in the right place, just your words ain't.
Well, you're very smart, Jasper, but I think I've got this well in hand. I'm sure nothing bad will come of it.
Alright, just don't put my name down on no dang piece of paper over there.
Alright.
Good luck to you. I'll just stand over here, church mousing it up. Making a mistake.
Let's hop over to the conversation between Oris and Moz. Jasper and Bonesaw are sitting on the edge, and Oris is sitting there kind of drumming his clawed hand on the table, has pulled out a small glass vial and has set it next to the lockbox.
I saw an interesting poster in town. Said something about a $1,500 prize for a goose or something?
Yes. the Golden Goose Challenge. It's a fun little challenge that I cooked up to show just how immensely safe this bank is. I have a standing prize of $1,500 for anybody who can possibly retrieve the golden egg from our vault. It's locked up so tight, and nobody has ever been able to get into it. Despite many that have tried.
Moz is gonna say, "You mean this egg?" and conjure up major image of the egg that he saw on the poster.
Oh my god!
Smart.
Next level!
So smart.
Oh my god!
You cast the spell. What's the will save on it?
17.
DC 17?
Yeah. It's a 3rd level spell.
Okay. He looks at you and smiles and says, "Oh, that's clever. It's a clever little challenge you've got there. You might actually have what it takes to take the real thing." And he just takes a single penny and just drops it into your hand through the gold. Says, "It won't be quite that easy to get the real thing, I'm sorry. But you're always welcome to try. We do request that anybody who takes up the challenge informs us. There is certain procedures. We need to turn down the deadliness of some of the traps. We wouldn't want anybody to get hurt on our account."
Suppose it's worth a shot. Didn't take you for such a keen eye.
A lot of people don't. I have that effect on people. This entire time, he has had this same grin on his face that has not broken. It is very much the salesman's smile. It's about this time that Jasper and Bonesaw finish up their talk. "Well, have you decided on what you're going to do?"
Well, my lawyer has advised me that we won't go a penny over 3%.
3%. Well, I suppose I'll be taking a bit of a loss, but 3%, I suppose that works. Once a week for 1 year.
Now, what happens if I'm not in town? Off gallivanting, doing adventures and such.
Well, you would need to make sure that you post it, set up some way for us to receive our payment, an automatic payment, if you will. You can, of course, open an account with us and
that's clever.
place some money in it. And then that way, we can just automatically withdraw any money from your account into our system.
All right, I'll set up an account and I'll put in the minimum amount to cover 1 week, just in case I'm out of town.
Very well. He takes out a pen and starts scribbling on the contract sheet. He says, "Now, of course, we're going to need a little bit of collateral. Tell me about this horse that you're looking to purchase."
Oh, well, it's a Schweitzer Industries original. Very experimental, very cutting edge. Mechanical horse.
Oh, fantastic. And you're the one who owns that delightful-looking wagon that comes through town.
Oh, yes, you've seen my wagon!
It is absolutely fantastic. I saw your show the other night. It was wonderful.
Oh, a fan!
Yes, of course I'm a fan. Now, and he snaps his fingers again and the attendant comes in. "We're going to be opening an account for Mr. Bonesaw, correct?"
Mr. Bonesaw, that's right.
Yes. And go ahead and bring that paperwork as well. The attendant scurries off and then comes back a few minutes later. Now, of course, with a 1-year payment term at 3%, once a week, we would be looking at a weekly payment of $156.21. Now, for collateral, we would be looking at, because this is the kind of loan that is a bit more, we need to be careful with what we're loaning out. Your collateral that will be surrendered upon your failure to pay would, of course, be this Schweitzer Industries horse that you're looking, and your wagon and all the contents within, and we would, of course, need a vial of your blood.
And as soon as he says the wagon and all the contents within, Jasper has been fingering his harmonica and blows just an incredibly sour note. Oh, excuse me. That was a really bad note there that I just passed. I don't think that was a good idea. for me to be doing, or...
What about those contents that are somewhat worthless to other people?
Oh, dear.
But quite important to me?
Oh, what would that be? I mean, we can make deals.
Things of sentimental value, letters, things of that sort.
We would allow you to keep any of the letters that bear no monetary value, of course. Everything else would be surrendered upon receipt, and we would return any items that we deem as not being worth the bank's time.
Oh, well, that sounds like a lot of my cut. That seems fair to me.
Jasper is over in the corner. He blows another terrible note, and under his breath he's saying, "Dang it, Moz, where are you? This is about the worst I can play."
Moz is very content watching Bones do all this.
He extends a hand and says, "I believe we have a deal, $156.21. Plus, we'll start that account for you with that balance, just so in case you miss a week. If you want to see the terms of your account, of course, there's an overdraft fee if you have a bill that goes over, but we can offer you a very generous 2% interest yield, compounded. You know that will, of course, increase the amount of money that you get every year. The compound interest is powerful."
Bonesaw leans over to Jasper and says, I didn't quite catch that last bit in money terms.
It's a magic spell.
For the money!
I don't understand it either.
I'm gonna roll insight. Bonesaw doesn't know if that's a good idea or not, so he's gonna roll insight specifically on that to see if he thinks the guy thinks it's a good idea. Or sorry, sense motive. 30!
30?
Hey, there it
Thank
is.
goodness.
You're looking at specifically just the bank account. Having an overdraft fee is stupid and should not be allowed, but yeah, it's not a great deal. 2% is a little low for a interest rate for an account.
No, that sounds fine. I think just there for the purpose of if I'm out of town.
Very well. Then I just need you to simply sign here on this dotted line, and he hands you the contract. There's a carbon paper underneath it. And then he takes the small glass vial that he pulled out and unscrews it and sets it down, and there's a metal syringe-looking thing at the top that he indicates for you to press your finger against.
Interesting.
Can I ask what the purpose of the blood draw is for? That does not seem to be fiduciarily motivated.
Oh, the blood draw is simply, we have had a few people who have decided that they thought that they could outrun us. The blood draw is simply another step in the collateral.
Right. Bonesaw will sign the paper, Mr. Bonesaw. And then he's gonna nudge Goiter a little and try to get him to fall off his body and bubble over to distract the man for a moment.
Broken scale, what is that? That is...
Can I try to put some kind of liquid in the vial that is not blood, considering I carry all kinds of extracts and things on me?
I will say you can attempt it, but
Okay.
from what it appears, this is a very specific type of vial. Actually, you can roll a crafting alchemy check.
22?
Okay, with a 22, you actually know exactly what this vial is. It was particularly popular in Europe for quite a while. That is designed as a part of a necromancy setup that will basically, it draws in the vital essence of whatever creature puts its finger on it and preserve that as a means for witches and warlocks and basically anybody who wants to keep a vial of blood fresh. It will keep it fresh indefinitely. It is specifically designed to draw a certain amount of blood out of a person.
Okay.
So getting other fluids in it would be challenging.
Okay. Bonesaw will submit and stick his finger on it, but while he's doing that, he'll say, one question.
Yes.
Bodily fluids and that sort can be bad for magic and things like that. How do I know my blood is going to be safe with you? Where do you keep it? What sort of security measures do you have?
We actually have fantastic security measures. We keep all of our vials down in our vault in the same secure location that we keep all of the safe deposit boxes and our prize golden egg.
Oh, very good, very good. Excellent. All right, I am satisfied with that.
Fantastic. Yes, it is quite impossible, as I was describing to your compatriot, that our bank is nearly impregnable. I have yet to see anybody even get beyond the first set of traps to get down to the vault without our say-so. As the vial fills up with your blood, it actually doesn't go all the way to the bottom. You see the drops of blood are suspended in the middle of this little glass vial. And he caps it, tears off the top sheet, hands you your carbon copy of your loan agreement.
Wonderful.
Oris just smiles and says, "Thank you for doing business with the Wells Ferngrip Bank. Here is your requested loan amount," and he slides the lockbox over to you.
I'm going to go ahead and pop it open here and just check that it's the right amount.
Okay, you take the time to count it out. It is $8,000.
This is for you as much as it is for me. You know, we want to be all above board about this. Thank you so much for your help.
Of course, happy to do business with you. And remember, for all of your banking needs, trust the Wells Ferngrip Bank.
I have to ask a question here.
Yes, of course.
What in tarnation is an Otto and Manford on this collateral line here?
Oh, that's the name of Miss Stella's creature, isn't it? That is what she has told me.
Yeah, I didn't recall any of us saying the name.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that you should learn about what you're buying.
I know plenty about what I'm buying, thank you.
That's good. Wonderful. And he just smiles. Have a good day. Feel free to come and visit again, and if you decide to take me up on the Golden Goose Challenge, like I said, let me know. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Certainly. Have a lovely day.
He leads you down the stairs. He stands at the top, watching you as you all walk down. He's still holding the undrunk glass of whiskey the entire time as he watches you leave.
As soon as we're outside, Bonesaw turns to Moz and says, "So we should probably pencil in a heist a couple of weeks after we've rounded up some other errands. Get that egg and my blood back, yes?"
Already on the calendar.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mozzie.
Game, meat game.
So, Myra.
Hi.
What were you up to while all of this was going down?
She's probably having some sixth sense telling her that she really needs to stop somebody making a bad decision at the moment. But she ignores that. She did see something weird at Noral's, so maybe she's gonna go by Noral's to chat a little bit, but also see what was up with Noral.
Okay, fantastic. You go to Noral's. It's the morning. You go in, and the door is open, but you don't see Noral. The place is pretty much as you expected. That sword is hanging up above the doorway. You don't see Noral anywhere nearby.
Huh, okay. She kind of looks around. She goes, hey, Noral? Noral?
You hear a crash. Hi! She just sticks her head down from the upstairs. What can I do for you?
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. I just, wanted to chat a little bit, and, you seem to know a lot of weird things, and she's also kind of looking around to see where Noral's eyes might be going, because she seemed to see something that everyone else didn't see, so she's gonna ask her about the Smith brothers to see if she knows, but really just be paying attention to whatever's going around.
Oh, you're looking for Smith Brothers products. I mean, I have a few. I have their cough drops. I have their cough syrup. I have quite a few things. Is there a specific type of medicine that you're looking for with them? And the entire time, she's still, like, she hasn't come down. She's still kind of looking down over the edge, her head cocked to the side a little bit. And as you look at her, her eyes are tracing along the ground, kind of around your tail.
She kind of looks, and do I sense anything?
Make a perception check for me. 20. You pretty much can definitively tell, there doesn't appear to be anything. Whatever her eyes are tracking, either it is something that you can't see, and like, you're pretty perceptive, and if it's something that you can't see, then it is very concerning, or there's nothing there and she's just tracking nothing.
She nods and goes, well, I think, well, thanks for the information. And then internally she thinks that she's just going to leave this up to one of the magic people to determine, or possibly a psychiatrist. And she's going to take one more look at the ground to see if anything's there, and just kind of like flick her tail out randomly to see if it might kick something. I don't know. She might hit something that's not there. But otherwise, she's gonna leave and look for the rest of the group.
As Myra's turning, Noral says, "Wait, don't you want?" And you hear a thump as she lands on the ground.
Oh,
And you turn around, and she landed a 3-point landing. One hand holding up a small box that says Smith Brothers on it. You want your cough drops?
Sure.
Here you go.
How much?
10 cents.
Okay, here you go. And she hands her 10 cents.
Here you go. And she hands you the box.
Okay.
Again, I do enjoy when you and your friends come in. It's such a fun, and you're all exciting. I like exciting people.
Okay. She nods and says, all right, well, I'll see you around, Noral.
You should do something about that finger.
Oh, well, I might, it's okay. You know, I'm getting used to it. But thank you, though.
You're welcome. Take care.
She backs away out the door and is like, okay, I'm gonna go find Moz and or Bonesaw to see what's going on with Noral, because she's a little concerned.
Make a perception check as you're leaving.
Uh-oh. I wonder if she's like a prophet or like some sort of soothsayer.
That's what I'm thinking. Like a seer.
Yes, seer. 23.
Okay. As you are leaving, and just as you're walking away, you see Noral reach up and take the sword down. And then she goes into the back. And that's it.
Oh, I'm definitely getting Bonesaw. Bonesaw! Where are you at?
It's about this time that Bonesaw and company are leaving the bank.
Maybe we meet in the road on the way to Stella's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fire goes, oh, Bonesaw, I have a question. What's up with Noral? You know, also, wait a minute, where were you guys doing?
I'm going to get that very cool horse!
Oh, cool. Jasper?
No, never mind me. I'm just a quiet little church mouse over here.
Just the pain in his voice.
Oh, Bonesaw engaged in some low finance.
Bonesaw, what'd you do?
The bank decided to spot me some money for the horse. It's no big deal.
Nothing that can't be undone. Now, let's go get us a horse.
Are you carrying the cough drops openly, or have you tucked them away?
She probably would have tucked him away, having known directly then that Smiths are bad news for Bonesaw, so she is going to definitely hide that in probably a bag.
Okay.
Yeah, that may or may not open at some point.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Damn it.
You all manage to make your way up to Stella. Stella is overjoyed to see you, Bonesaw, and after a little bit of talking about the intricacies of what's going on, you hand over your payment, and she hands you a small metal disc about the size of a key. She explains that this is what identifies you as the owner of the Ottomanfurt, and gets you all set up with your brand new steam horse. It lets out this low mechanical neigh as you lead it up and out. This is the first time for all of you seeing Stella's workshop down below. It is pretty impressive in terms of, like, it is a full working mechanical shop. Unless anybody has anything else in town, we can go ahead and get y'all on the road. It'll take you about 6 hours riding to get out to the Pozo Oscuro Mine.
All right, do we remember if they said that there were miners still there being plagued, or if the miners had abandoned the mine?
From what you understand, the miners were no longer in the mine, but there is a mining camp nearby because it's just far enough that, like, the miners can't make their way back every day. So presumably the miners are at that camp. They just haven't been in the mine for a little bit.
I think that we should stop at the mining camp first and see if we can't get some more information about what we might be up against. We might have some first-hand witnesses of the rabbit prince or these terrifying jackalopes.
Sounds like a plan.
Marvelous idea.
All right. Have you hitched up the steam horse to your wagon, or are we taking the wagon?
I'm leaving the wagon with Stella.
Okay.
She's doing the repair work, but also some upgrades.
Nice. Big spender.
Gonna get the tank treads and the helicopter blades put onto it.
Well, I couldn't afford the fireproofing fully.
I was gonna say maybe some fire retardant.
Yeah, Blake and I worked out something with armor that is going to increase the hardness and the AC, and it will make it less likely to catch on fire. So
Good for Moz.
it'll give it some more hit points, too. It was a lot cheaper to do that than magical fire retardancy.
The wagon now weighs 11 tons.
It'll be very hard to stop.
There is that.
Yeah, it can only pull 1,500 pounds now instead of 2,000, which it could before. But I'm not even close to that in terms of weight on the sheet, so...
Yeah. The horse, I imagine, has a bit more oomph in it now that you have a mechanical thing.
Yeah, the horse can pull the wagon all on its own. It doesn't need a second horse. So that's nice.
So I trust there's no issues with Moz on the back of the horse right now, is there?
Temporarily, it shouldn't be an issue. However, it is a fucking hot creature because it is made of steam. Whoever is riding it is taking damage as they ride it. 1d4 every hour of non-lethal damage.
I have a solution, though.
What does that mean?
Bonesaw, after slinging a leg over the horse, goes, "Oh, that's a bit warm in the crotch. How about this?" And he mixes up some things and hands one to Moz and knocks one back himself.
Oh.
That should help a bit. And he's going to cast Endure Elements on both of us.
Hell yeah.
And that solves the issue.
Thank you, Bonesaw. So, do you take damage riding the horse all the time? Or is that just when there's two people on top?
All the time from the heat.
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But normally when it's hooked up to the wagon, that won't be the case.
Okay, got
Because
it.
no one will be riding it.
Huh.
Added bonus, put your lunch on the back of the horse and keep your lunch warm.
I was gonna say, since like Myra's cold-blooded or something, could she borrow the horse for some warming?
Yeah,
up?
space heater.
Space
Yeah.
heater.
We're gonna be huddling around this when winter comes.
Yeah, everyone get around the horse.
All right. It does travel a little bit slower than the average horse, so it'll take you a little bit longer. Actually, that'll take you up to 8 hours of travel time.
Dang.
Did I manage to get a manual from Stella?
You got a manual. It is written in German. Stella tells you, I have a German to English dictionary, but that is it. That is all I have.
Oh, I'll figure it out. I'm sure with enough searching and enough time, it can't be that hard.
There you go. So yeah, you have a German to English dictionary for what it's worth, and a manual written in German for the Automatfeld. You can name it. She does tell you how you can use the key to change its name so it responds to a different name.
Ooh, I'll need to think on that for a bit.
You have to press select, volume, channel 2, hold the buttons down, speak the name clearly 3 times.
Now that's curious. What's Flamin' Warfer mean?
You ride across the plains as you leave Perdition for the first time in a little while. It's going to take you 8 hours, leaving mid-morning, so it's going to start to be sunset. Somebody give me a 1d100 roll, please.
59.
Okay, good to know. It is an uneventful ride. You make your way past the rolling hills, following the trail. It's a fairly well-defined trail, because this is the path that the carts that are bringing all of the stuff back from the mines come along. It takes you several hours. The grasses begin to grow low as you start to go up into the mountains a little bit. Not much, it's the lowlands right now. Before you, just around sunset, are seeing a small camp set up in the distance.
Guess we made it.
Well, looks like from the way the sun is in the sky, this might be where we hunker down for the night.
Do we want to camp where the other people are camping, or somewhere separate?
Good question. Yeah, it might be a good idea if we camped out here and then rode in the morning. What do you think?
I'm happy with either. Though I do kind of miss the wagon.
I miss the liquor supply you had in it.
Let's say the rest of you.
I mean, does it look like there's a lot of people over there, or just, like, only a handful? Or can we tell from this distance?
You can't really tell from this distance, but like I said, you knew that the miners are probably there. And they're nearby the mine, but far enough away that the jackalopes weren't a problem for them.
So we should probably go interact with the miners to get the lay of the land.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Or at least they can give us a feel for how everyone is feeling about this.
Well, basically, you want to ride in at the end of the day and camp there overnight? Or do we want to camp out here and then ride in the morning and get the lay of the land?
They might be better disposed toward us in the clear light of morning, as opposed to the end of a long day.
That's
Yeah.
possible.
Right. Let's make camp then.
Yeah.
All right.
You all set up camp some distance away. Who's making dinner? Let's ask that question first.
Not Myra.
Myra offers and is like, hey guys, I just learned this new recipe that I think is really gonna blow your minds.
That sounds like a great idea to try out on yourself.
She's like, are you sure?
Oh, I have no problem with your cooking, Myra, but Jasper, I thought you said you were going to try something out earlier. That was the thing, wasn't it?
Oh, okay, I don't want to step on Jasper's toes.
Yeah, let me see if I can't rustle up something for us.
Okay, alright, we'll
I'm gonna look for a little wild sage and maybe some rosemary if I can find some. Maybe some onion grass or something.
I'll get a fire going.
I'm gonna try and whip something up.
Myra probably picks up some, like, wild grass and is like, is this time? Does this work?
No, ma'am, that is ragweed.
That is right. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I knew that.
And careful putting your hand down there. That is nettle.
Oh.
Now it does make a wonderful tea.
Oh, that's spiky.
But you got to boil the thorn out of it first.
Give me a survival check, whoever's making the dinner.
I'm gonna do this here. 30.
30.
Beautiful.
Y'all,
Nice.
this is a frickin' amazing road meal. Like, there's even that nettle tea that is just like, just perfect. Absolutely delicious.
You're hired. Camp cook forever.
Well, this is just beans and hardtack, plus some rosemary and thyme and some onion grass and a few things I had squirreled away here and there, bits and pieces, maybe a little bit of back bacon.
Delicious. Does Moz use supernatural means to light the fire, or mundane ones? I guess I'm just curious if it's regular fire or if it's hellfire.
Hell, what now?
It does have a certain bluish flame to it when he casts Spark.
Just a tad.
Oh, that's lovely.
Adds to the flavor.
Moz, why don't you play us a tune?
Bit of seasoning.
You can really taste the brimstone.
That's a good idea, Bones. Let me whittle up a little tune here.
Myra's kind of looking sidelong at Bonesaw to see if the friend is going to show up again.
Yeah, let me know,
Just
Blake.
Yep, I will.
This is more Gabby testing a theory.
Moz, you pull out and you start playing the fiddle. What kind of song is it?
Sort of slow, drawn out, like, similar to, like, country roads, but more like lonesome, almost? Reminiscing, almost.
Everyone make a perception check.
Ooh, terrible. 17.
21.
Okay, everyone except Jasper. You notice in the light of the fire, which is still crackling a little bit blue, in the shadow of Moz, specifically where his fiddle is, you see glowing blue letters on the ground.
Moz is not gonna say anything and continue playing as if nothing is happening.
Can we read it?
I don't know. What languages do you speak?
I speak Draconic.
I got Common, Orc, Necral, Abyssal, Infernal, Mandarin, and Celestial.
Shit! All that, but no German?
What do you want from me?
Bonesaw, you can read this. You can tell it is written in Infernal.
Yes.
Are you going to read the whole thing? You would not be able to do it stealthily.
I'm gonna give Moz a chance to hide it. So Bonesaw, on seeing the letters, sort of half gets up from the fire and says, "What's that there in your shadow? Some sort of writing?"
What now?
Look, right there.
Moz is gonna stop playing and look in the shadows very, concerned. What's behind me?
You can see the writing on the ground that moves around as you move the fiddle, like it is being cast by the fiddle's shadow.
Moz is gonna sort of lift his fiddle up like a torch almost and sort of move it around in the light as the letters follow and go, how about that?
Oh, that's fancy. Did you pay extra for effects?
Something like that. It's just a new trick or two I learned while I was up in the clock tower. Just, refining my craft.
Bonesaw's gonna step closer and squint to read it, making it real clear that that's what he's doing.
Oh, no need to go look at that. There's, nothing to see there. Just a fancy light trick is all.
Oh, well, it's words. I can read them. Do you want me to read them to you? Make sure you got your money's worth, you know.
Follow me, Bones.
Let's go over.
That's a real perplexing question.
He's gonna lead Bonesaw away from the rest of the group.
All right. Thanks for dinner, Jasper. Back soon.
Oh,
What on earth?
Oh. Once we get a fair distance away from the camp, Moz is gonna go, You can read that?
Well, yes, it's infernal writing.
Yeah, that probably checks out. Could you tell me what it says? Not quite good on the infernal to English.
It's a little rusty.
Sure, hold it up again. Let me see.
A little reluctantly, Moz will let it touch the light.
Okay.
Oh, this is long. Oh, God.
Shit.
This is extensive.
Oh, man. Of course they use my full name.
Let it be known to all who are concerned that Mozzarella Copernicus Pryor, also known as Moz, also known as Johnny Longtail. Oh, I didn't know that.
Aw.
Hereafter known as Envoy.
Yeah, it's an
What's that?
old stage name of mine.
Oh, interesting. Hereafter known as Envoy, has bested the former owner of this fiddle, and thus proven worthy to be the emissary of Titivillus.
Yeah, a bit of a prick.
Oh, interesting.
Not my first choice.
Well, it sounds like you won a contest. That's very cool.
Eh.
Hereafter referred to as their eminence. The authority of their eminence to draw said contract is underwritten by His Under Majesty Crown Archdevil Mephistopheles. Oh, well, that's a big name. Under the profane authority of His Grand Unholiness Asmodeus, Prince of Hell. All right.
Look, all I did was play a fiddle.
Moz, I may not be a legal expert. This seems kind of intense.
Wasn't really my intention to get signed into a big old contract with all these Prince of Hells and profane grand unholiness, but
Well, what's the contract? Is there some kind of deal?
maybe.
What, you don't know?
I never really read it till just now.
Oh,
Funny thing, you should mention that.
Well, why don't we find out, all right? Can't make any sort of plans unless we know what's going on.
Oh, I'm fairly certain that a contract was made. Yes, that is not within doubt.
All right.
Exactly what kind of contract we're trying to find out, I suppose.
Yes. Well, it seems that your contract is being overseen by an imp called Kaip? I'm not sure. Infernal's a bit strange, you know. Hereafter Oh, interesting. Bonesaw just breaks off. Hereafter known as Golden Fiddle in the guise of a wooden fiddle with gold inlays. Your fiddle is an imp! Bonesaw very suddenly swells into his mutant form.
Shit.
You all see Bonesaw suddenly go, vroom, get big.
Oh, that's our cue. Let's go, Jasper.
Bones?
All right, but I'm going to pick up my plate of food and take it with me.
That's a mood.
If you could just finish reading that there words, I'd appreciate it.
Bonesaw? Bonesaw?
I don't think Bonesaw's home.
Templeton is not here right now.
Ah, shit. Damn it.
Mozzarella, you seem to have gotten into a sticky place.
That's a word for it.
Do you want me to read the rest?
I'd appreciate to know exactly how sticky this place is.
The Golden Fiddle will be empowered to be able to ensure proper accordance with the contract and to provide incentives to carry out the contract according to their eminence's wishes. As a result of being the emissary, they are granted the usage of the Golden Fiddle as an instrument and a weapon, the silver tongue of the devil, and the ability to call upon Hellfire. Additional boons may be granted for adherence to this contract in accordance to the Petitioner's Rights and Responsibilities contract, available for viewing in the Iron Heart City of Dis, Hell, between the hours of 12:50 a.m. and 2:36 a.m. on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. The conditions of being emissary are thus: once per month, the envoy must challenge another musician to a musical duel. This duel must be for stakes that would cause extreme financial or emotional hardship for the losing party, but does not need to be for a soul. If the envoy loses, or if the envoy does not participate in said duel, they will suffer hallucinations that will result in unleashing hellfire upon the innocent at an undetermined point of time. To recover from these hallucinations, the envoy must challenge at least one other musician according to the preceding circumstances once per week for 1 month. When the envoy encounters an extremely skilled musician, hereafter known as the rival, they must challenge the rival to a duel, the stakes being the golden fiddle for the rival's soul. If the envoy wins, the rival's soul is forfeit and will be bound to hell upon their death, in service to their eminence for no less than 10,000 years. The envoy will gain a boon from their eminence, in addition to their favor. If the rival wins, they are awarded the Golden Fiddle, the title of emissary, and take upon themselves this contract with all rights and responsibilities held within. The envoy's soul will be withered and crushed, and will then be relegated to a portion of a lumor for no less than 5,000 years, upon which their soul will remain in service to their eminence for eternity. If the rival does not accept the initial challenge, the envoy must make a good faith effort to convince them to compete, but the rival may not be forced to compete, and there is no penalty for either party if the rival refuses the competition. The presence of a worthy rival will be made known to the envoy by the Golden Fiddle. If asked, the envoy must show the fiddle to the rival. If asked about the contents of the contract, the envoy must answer honestly, though they may obfuscate through omission and conceal the full purpose of this. Upon the ordained and predicted death of the envoy, their soul is to be bound in service of their eminence as a devil in good standing for no less than 2,000 years. The envoy may then make themselves a free agent within hell as their own devil, or continue to serve to their eminence unless prevented by additional contracts. If the emissary wishes to gain more power, they may invoke the following conditions of this contract. 1. The envoy may gain the service of a lesser devil of their choice for the duration of no less than 1 year. The devil will serve the envoy in strict accordance with the laws of petitioner bindings. They will follow orders provided by the envoy as long as they do not contradict the standing orders of their higher devil, and they will serve the envoy until the death of the devil, the death of the envoy, or the end of the year, whichever comes first. A full copy of Laws of Petitioner Bindings is available for viewing in the Iron Heart, City of Dis, Hell, between the standard hours of 3 a.m. and 6:42 a.m. on Mondays and Fridays. In exchange for this service, the envoy must desecrate a good and holy place to unusability and profane destruction once a year. If the envoy wishes to extend this service beyond 1 year, they must annually perform another desecration. The availability of this section of the contract is limited to one devil of their choice, and cannot be reinvoked if said devil perishes. Condition 2. The envoy may utilize the golden fiddle's unholy sounds as a weapon. Make a perform check versus AC, dealing 2d6 plus charisma modifier of sonic damage. Expends 1 use of bardic performance. In exchange for the usage of this weapon, the envoy must corrupt a truly good and honorable person and condemn their soul to hell by means other than the above stated required contractual obligations. Number 3. The envoy may call upon the profane contracts of hell to immediately restore any willing, sapient creature to full and healthy life, no matter the circumstances of death, length of time the creature has been dead, or any normally confounding circumstances. In exchange, the envoy agrees to immediately and willingly damn their soul to hell. The envoy cannot be restored to life under any circumstances, and they will be interred as a devil in service of their eminence for eternity. Signed, Kaip, Recorder and the Executor of the Contract, Titavillis, Master of the Contract, Johnny Longtail, Envoy and Contractee, signed by vocal agreement.
Shit.
At this point, Jasper is going to dash his plate upon the ground, looks at Moz and says, "You goddamned rat!" And he's going to turn on him and stomp off into the darkness.
Oh, Jasper? Jasper.
That could have gone better.
Myra's gonna go after Jasper. Jasper?
He turns on Myra and says, the very first thing that I ever had to do with that little furry rodent was he challenged me to a musical contest. You can't trust that. He's been playing us this whole time. That little frog, the sheriff, 10 will get you 5,000. That thing is an imp, or some kind of foul creature of hell. We're just a means to an end.
It may not be all that. It sounds like he doesn't really want to be in this to begin with. It sounds like he didn't even know about it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that going around, signing us stupid contracts. This ain't no thing like no dumb bank manager that you can call up some kind of heist to get yourself out of a tight spot. He has made a contract with the powers of darkness, and he is drawing us down with them, and he don't care.
I don't think he knew. Again, it seems like this was something he didn't really know too much about. And if anything, if there's anything that we know about hell and demons and devils, is that they don't play fair. So maybe he's stuck. He's probably stuck. But let's... Christ.
Damn right he's stuck. Alright, give me a minute to cool down. I'll come back and I'll listen.
Jasper, is there something in particular?
No, I think that pretty much is right out there. You think you know a person, you travel with him, your life depends on them, their life depends on you. You think you got some kind of understanding or agreement. They might have little idiosyncrasies, like they might talk to frogs, or they might have some sort of devotion to, I don't know, competition or something. Definitely an affinity for frickin' fire. But you can look beyond that because somebody is, well, they're your friend, they're your partner, they're your trail pal. They're out there looking out for your back and you're out there looking out for theirs. Just don't expect a flaming cursed knife in your back.
I don't think he's gonna do that. I think when
He's already done it! The very first thing he ever did was challenge me to a musical duel.
Ah, shit.
And you saw it right there in the contract.
Okay, go cool off. I'm gonna go talk to him. I'm not happy about this either. I'm just letting you know. Just hold on before we jump there, okay? I'll be right back.
All right, I'm not going nowhere. I'll just stand over here and look at the stars or something. I don't know.
Myra's feeling a particular pain in her chest when he was like, "You think you know somebody," and she's like, "Oh, oh, my heart."
really not something I had planned out.
Ooh,
Right in
yeah.
there. And she's gonna be like, okay, that's gonna be hard to break to Jasper. So Myra then slithers back over to Moz and goes, alright, Moz, I remember when I said how, like, everyone's got their stuff and it's not always everyone's business? Well, this really, 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 really is our business now. Because Jasper told me, and I remember this, you challenged him to a musical duel. And according to that contract, that damns a person's soul to hell. Please tell me that that wasn't going to happen. Did you even know about that?
I did not.
Okay.
And I don't rightly know what happens to Jasper now. It was not something that I could turn down,
I figured.
no matter how hard I tried.
Yeah. What? How? How did this happen? And more importantly, how did you not know about it? If this was an accident?
I got bits and pieces over the years. I never quite knew the full extent of the horror I was involved in until just about now. But I do know I've hurt people, and that I will continue to hurt people. There's not much else I can do about it.
Jim?
You heard the contract. Ain't no exit clause. Either my soul's damned or someone else's is. As far as I'm concerned, I'm already living in hell.
Suddenly, you hear a voice that to you, Moz, is familiar. To everybody else, this is the first time they're hearing it. Coming from the fiddle. Actually, technically, Jim, while he was declared a rival, he wasn't actually... he wasn't challenged for his soul. While he is suffering great financial hardship, he is not, shall we say, damned.
Sheriff?
Bonesaw's eyes flare
Uh-oh.
red,
Uh-oh.
and he says, "Silence, imp," and grabs for the fiddle.
Moz is gonna pull away very quickly. Now hold on.
Why?
Yes, please don't give me into the hands of that freak.
You're one to talk, Mr. Violin. I'm sorry. If you're talking violin.
Excuse me, I am a fiddle. I would expect you to understand that.
I thought you were a frog! You mean to me I've been talking to a fiddle all this time? Damn you!
The sheriff's just sitting there on your shoulder.
No, you hush. I don't want another word from you.
Give me one good reason I shouldn't crush it right now.
'Cause it might hurt Moz. It might very much hurt Moz.
And I don't rightly think you can break it.
Ding, ding, ding. Give another golden fiddle to our boy here.
I'm good with just the one.
Oh, you are, aren't you? You know how to tickle my ivories.
You know, I think I liked you better as an amphibian.
Oh, I can talk as the amphibian too. And then he throws his voice and it sounds like the sheriff is talking and you all can hear it. Oh, yes, I'm a frog. Ribbit, ribbit.
This fiddle's sassy.
Bonesaw's body turns to the frog.
At least I haven't gone entirely insane.
I'm just glad that it's finally out in the open. I can finally talk to you. And don't have to hide it from all these folk.
I suppose that's the silver lining of what is otherwise the worst night I've had in years.
Listen, we'll figure this out, and the fact that you ended up signing a contract that you didn't even know was a contract, I mean, that in and of itself sounds like it's grounds for voiding the contract, but I don't even know how you go about devil court or anything like that. I don't even know if there's a thing.
Well, you need a lawyer who's very fluent in the laws of hell. Any takers? Guess not, so I guess I'm stuck in this contract and for the foreseeable future.
No, don't be like that. It's fun. We're quite a good team, you and I, aren't we? Can't tell me you haven't had some good times.
He didn't even know you were a thing until just a couple seconds ago.
Oh.
So you shut your mouth.
My dear.
You have no good relationship with him.
Who do you think has been giving him his powers? I've been monitoring him this entire time.
I mean, we figured there was something going up with all that fire, but this contract, this deal, clearly he's not entirely for this. So how can this be something that he's signed if he didn't even know about it?
He agreed to the terms. Play against Tempter for the golden fiddle. Put up his soul on the line. He didn't, ask any questions. I mean, who would?
I was a little bit inebriated at the time.
As the standard petitioner's rights and responsibilities contract states, the contract signee does not need to be in full control of their faculties at the time, and being under duress is no reason to obfuscate a signed contract.
I have one question for you. Just how many damn fiddle players have you passed hands through?
Before or after Tedavilius regained me?
Tedavilius what now?
Yes, I work under Tedavilius. He was the original creator of the Pact, the Prideful Artists Contract of Tedavilius. He was the original person who wrote it down. And about 1,000, give or take a couple centuries, but then he lost it in a bet. Then, only in the past 100 years or so, did he gain me back.
Seems that devils are fond of gambling.
Oh, very.
Speak truly, devil. If I crush you where you stand, will it hurt Moz?
To some degree. He won't be able to fulfill the parts of his contract. Eventually somebody will be called up to take care of the rest of it, but that would require you to be able to actually crush me, and, you know, a freak like you doesn't really stand much of a chance of that.
The creature inside Bonesaw starts breathing heavily.
Was there a time limit for the contract?
How do you mean?
Well, let's just say if Moz decides to, I don't know, plant you under a rock somewhere, is there a time limit?
It's covered in there.
Yeah. He reiterates that Moz will be plagued by severe hallucinations and hurt innocent folk once a month outside of his control if he doesn't fulfill the basic tenets of the contract. And if he is faced with a rival and he doesn't make a good faith effort to engage the rival, it basically does damage to him and destroys him.
It's as much of a blessing as it is a curse.
Yes.
Damn it, Moz.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Myra. Now, if we're all done with the theatrics, I'd like to get some sleep before we get on our job tomorrow. Good night.
Well, hold on real quick. You need to say something to Jasper, because you need to explain to him that little musical duel you had wasn't you trying to get at his soul. It was something where you didn't have much of a choice. Or at least explain to him that, you know, you really are stuck. Jasper's a good man. He's been sticking with us of all people, and Lord knows that man is so much, I don't know. I feel like he at least deserves an explanation, so please at least do that for him.
I'll go talk to him.
Jasper's within earshot. He's just standing off in the darkness, fuming.
Moz is gonna walk up and, suppose you're not too happy with me about now.
He's met with silence and staring.
I suppose I deserve that. I can't blame you for feeling this way. Only person I blame is myself. Know that I don't take any pleasure in what I've been doing. If that's any solace. I do what I have to. The alternative is beyond anything I can put into words. It won't happen again with you.
You know there's a way that you can thwart this contract.
I'm all ears.
It'll take guts. It'll take determination. It'll take sacrifice. I did hear the latter part. Didn't hear the very first part of it, but I think I heard enough. If you do not challenge folk to these here contests, then eventually you'll pop off and hurt some sort of innocent, deal with hallucinations and such. But if you're not near folk, you can't hurt folk. There's a wide, wide, wide world out here, Moz. And you're a little feller. You don't have to be around folk. And there's just finality and iron resolve in Jasper's voice as he's saying this. You can't hurt folk. You can't challenge folk. If you're out in the middle of the desert, out in the middle of the wilderness, you're only hurting people because you're around people. You know, not too long ago, there was a cursed weapon in this here group. You know what I'm talking about. And at great risk, damn it, I managed to keep that out of your hands, because I thought I was saving your soul. Didn't even occur to me that you were already damned, and I don't know if you realized at that point that you were damned. But that risk was hollow and for nothing. But it did it. You man enough to take that same sort of responsibility for your actions? Or are you going to keep on abiding by this contract?
What you don't understand, Jasper, is that I'm never alone. I see the voices in the dark. Whispers coming from down under. No matter where I go, they follow me. And I can't keep the voices out. I see the people I hurt every night. And all I want to do is keep that list as low as I can. But if I go off, wander, find some place no one knows, I'll find my way back, I just know it. But it won't be Moz who returns. Y'all are my anchor. I can't leave and come back the same I was. Hell, if I get just beyond the horizon, that'll be the last you see of me. And that's a promise. There's no easy way out of this. I accepted that a long time ago. But as long as I bear this burden, I hold this fiddle, I have this curse, I'm in control of what happens. Now, I do my best, I try. I go only after those deserving, those who are already hellbound and they know it.
Oh, really? Was I hellbound?
That was a mistake. Something that shouldn't have happened.
And it's a choice you get to make, huh?
If I remember correctly, it was you who challenged me. You who goaded me into that.
I remember that I pulled out a harmonica and was playing a little tune, and that I was challenged. Hell, I thought we were going to play together. You made it into a contest. And I didn't even know the stakes.
Well, I will admit my mind is not what it used to be. Memory comes and goes as it is. Was a period of my life where I was truly gone. And if it wasn't for the sheriff here by my side, I don't think you would see the same rat standing in front of you today.
That sheriff is not an emissary of hell?
He's an emissary of frog law. Best damn sheriff in this side of the Mississippi. I thought I was talking to him all this time, but I guess he's just a damn good pet. And an even better law enforcer.
I'm sorry, this is the layers upon layers of crazy here.
Like I said, mine was partially gone for some time. But wouldn't be Moz if he was 100% sane. Nah, this here frog couldn't hurt a fly. Well,
Blech.
maybe one or two.
Tongue just goes and grabs a fly that's going by.
I don't expect you to forgive me, Jasper. Not now, not tonight, hell, maybe not ever. But just know, I'm doing my best. And that's all anyone can ask.
Well, I don't doubt that. And for my own part, I don't know, forgiveness will come. It ain't there yet.
I can live with that.
I'll have to see how things go. But do you realize that by having us as your companions, you're making us complicit in the plans of hell? I got enough stains on my soul. There are people who depended upon me after my wife's and family's death, and I let them down. I was not there for people who needed me, and I am sure that some of them have faced some dire consequences because of that. But we gotta... I don't know what to do here. I do not know how to proceed.
I'd hope to spare you all the details of my unfortunate contract. Less y'all know, the better in my eyes. But what is hell but the counterpart or the flip side of the same coin as heaven? There are do-gooders, people who go up and live eternity in nice surroundings and get what they deserve. But do we not all get what we deserve in death? Are there not those who deserve to burn, to perish for the atrocities they've committed? I'm not asking you to be complicit in the actions of hell. I'm asking you to deliver justice. Now, finding that justice, that's up to me.
What do you expect me to do next time you challenge somebody?
I'll be damn sure they deserve it.
And if you're wrong?
Then my soul is already bound to hell.
What if you don't find somebody in that period of time, somebody who is musically adept enough to be called the rival? And you suffer from these hallucinations and you wind up hurting innocent folk.
Then I suppose we keep moving and find someone who is.
Alright, I'll make a deal with you.
Seem to be a lot of those going around.
Yeah, well, the stakes aren't, this is a simpler agreement. Because I ain't gonna take nothing from you. This party has done a powerful lot for me. I have not had people to care about for quite some time. And traveling with them has done me a world of good. And I am willing to try and keep these people, including yourselves, alive, hale, and whole. But that is going to require some doing now that the light of this contract is out. Have you actually ever tried consulting somebody who knows about hellish contracts? This can't be something that just happens all the time and nobody can ever do nothing about it. 'Cause that ain't the way that it should be under God's green earth. There has got to be a way out of this. So I'll make this deal with you. We can continue traveling. If and I think you step over the line. Now, I understand you've got to do some things. Maybe you'll find somebody who, as you put it, deserves eternal damnation. We'll take that as it comes. But if I think you stepped over the line, I'm going to try and put you down. But in return, I'll stay with you. I'll protect you. I'll keep you alive. You keep me alive, just like we were doing before. But the soonest we get an opportunity to talk to somebody who knows about these damn things, because we're just a bunch of just dumb hick cowpokes when you get down to it. Let's consult an expert. See if there's a way to break this. Maybe there's penance. Maybe there is some sort of thing that can be done that can get you out of this. But if you don't try, if you do not try with all of your might, then you do deserve damnation. I've said my piece.
I haven't heard an idea that clear since... I can't remember. I accept your terms. Have a good night, Jasper. See you in the morning.
I hope you have a peaceful night's sleep.
We'll see about that.
Night, Moz.
Myra's still kind of looking at the 8-foot-tall, eyes glowing red Bonesaw, waiting for him to do something. She goes, you think you could let my buddy Bonesaw back real quick, just so we can let him know what's going on?
It can be hard to relinquish control when there are devil creatures about, but I will try. And there's a sort of a moment where he closes his eyes and breathes, and then Bonesaw shrinks back down to regular size. Moz? All right.
So, hey, so your alter...
Hello, Myra.
Hi, your alter ego stopped by for a bit, but,
Sorry?
What alter ego?
So, turns out, Moz has made a deal with some sort of devil, and he's got to challenge people for their souls, otherwise bad things happen to him and to others.
Well, that's rather barbaric, isn't it?
Yeah, you might want to go chat with him or see if he's okay. Well, actually, him and Jasper are kind of talking some things out. Jasper didn't really take it so great, so we're gonna see how that... Sorry.
I'm sure that will work out. Jasper has a very forgiving mind, I think. No particular reason why I'd think that, but
To be honest, if someone were to possibly risk my soul in a musical duel, I would also be very upset for a long time. So I'm gonna give Jasper a pass and say that that's totally fine. Yeah, I think he'll come around eventually. So
can you go back to that alter ego thing that you said?
Yeah, so I've been meaning to talk to you about that. So when you guys came to save me from he who shall not be named, you had a moment where you were different, where you took your mask off and your voice changed, and you referred to yourself in the third person as Templeton Throckmorton, and you kept saying, Templeton Throckmorton is not here right now, he will return. It seems that whatever had taken over you was very interested in destroying any hell-ish creatures. And when you started reading the contract on Moz's fiddle, the same thing happened. When Moz was doing his performance the other day and he inspired visions of hell, the same thing happened. So, does this happen often where you just kind of seem to have gaps?
Well, yes, I think we talked about this once before, didn't we?
Yeah, but you never...
Do they have a name?
I've just been calling him your friend.
What did they say? What did they...
Well, I was wondering if you could tell me. Do you think you would know? Maybe an explanation? A little something. It's okay if you don't, but, some information. Seems to be a lot of secrets.
I will tell you what I remember.
Okay.
I have some gaps.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been a zombie for about 2 years now. And when I died and I woke back up, I was surrounded by bodies in the middle of a town, all alone. And I don't know what did that, or if it was me, or perhaps something else.
You know what? Let's sleep on this.
Tactical retreat.
This is a lot. We were supposed to go to bed. We're supposed to have dinner.
Myra, I'm not going to turn you all into bodies. I have more control than that. That hasn't happened again since just the one time. It's not like a sort of recurring thing as far as I know. So it's not.
I believe you, and I mean whatever this thing is that keeps taking over you, I don't think it's bad. I think it's a little rude sometimes, but I think that I think we'll be okay. Just devil contracts and everything and stuff I've done. But I think we'll be okay, and we're not just gonna dip you like that.
All right.
So, and even Jasper is, he's upset, but even he's still sticking around.
All right.
So just have some faith.
Bonesaw sort of opens his arms a little, like offering a hug.
Oh, Myra goes in for the hug, and hugs, and while she's doing that, she's remembering what Jasper had said, like, you think you know a person, and like, you think you know a person, you think you know a person, you think you know a person.
Bonesaw squeezes back really tight.
I like how Bonesaw and Myra are just like, we're just gonna hug it out. And Jasper and Moz is like, we're gonna have some words.
As you all make your way to bed for the night, two people in particular have dreams. Moz.
What a surprise.
You find yourself back on the plains of Jackson, and sitting there playing a tune on the fiddle is a familiar face, bespectacled, top hat wearing Tidavilius, playing a tune on the fiddle. You approach and he turns to you and says, Ma, little Moz. That was quite a performance you had the other day, and I was just tickled pink by the skill that you performed.
Tidavilius, what do I owe the pleasure?
I just wanted to congratulate you on such a fine performance, and Oh, yes. And he pulls out a piece of paper and unfurls it, and you can tell it's a type of vellum. He says, must challenge the rival, the fiddle, in exchange for their soul. Puts it away. Now imagine, I was so excited to go down and see my new acquisition, the new soul that I got. There's one little problem when I got down below. You didn't get me my soul! And he grabs Moz by the throat. It starts squeezing.
I've got a lovely 20-acre field that's all yours.
I would have thought all this time would have broken you down a little bit more. But clearly, and he takes you by the throat and slams you into the ground.
I hear there's people in the East who would have paid an arm and a leg for that kind of plot.
We need to do a little bit more work. Slam. Your friends will not be able to break you out of this contract. You will not be able to destroy me. It is better just to submit. Slam. Bow down. Slam. Know your place. Jasper, you have a memory. Something that has really faded from your mind. And it has been hard. This is one of the few that you're able to hold on to pretty well, but even that is still fading. It's you high up on a mesa. The sun beating down on you, scorching hot. Surrounded by 5 people wearing black bandanas, tattoos of this black scorpion on the back of their hands. There's a small hole dug next to you, and they have spread all of your equipment out. You've been beaten badly at this point. You look around, and you see something that has slipped your mind. One of these bandits walking up to a woman, sitting on the back of a horse. You don't see her face, but she is deep tanned skin, black flowing hair. And the tattoo of the scorpion is not on her wrist, but you see it on her neck, going up her cheek. The person speaks to her in rapid French. Something about just this dried plant. And he ends it with, "It's a fiddle home," which you understand to be, "What about the old man?" She looks back at you for just a second. Tule. There's a gunshot. You fall down. They ride away. And you wake up. You wake up. It is a rainy day outside. It has started to drizzle. It's cold. Jasper, Moz had some interesting dreams. You all gather up your things and head out, heading for the mining camp. You approach the camp, and it is a small, non-permanent settlement. You can see there's a lot of tents set up, a small smelter. Some very basic buildings have been built for storage of materials. The biggest thing you realize as you're approaching, though, is that there's not much hustle and bustle of what you would expect from a mining camp. This place appears to be shut down. There are still people out and wandering around, but none of them are really rushing to get anywhere. They're not really doing anything. You all approach, you ask around you, and you finally find a man, very kind of wild hair, great big bushy beard. He honestly looks a bit like a dwarf, but he's human. He's carrying a pickaxe, has some goggles up on his head, one big eye patch just over one of his eyes. And as you approach him, he dusts his hands off on his pants. He introduces himself as Wold Picknam. Says, "What can I do for you, travelers?"
I hear that you have a bit of a mine infestation.
Don't know what you're talking about. This is a Grimstone mining camp, and that we're here for... Well, we're just on break right now. Don't know what you're talking about.
We've actually been sent by Vi Desmond here to investigate the causes of your recent difficulties in the mine. We know all about your little horned lapine problem, jackalope problem.
As soon as you say this, like, all affect about him just drops, and he says, "Why didn't you say so?"
I think I did.
Come on, grab a seat.
Turn to Bonesaw. I did say so, didn't I?
Yes, you might be a bit slow, Bonesaw says just a little too loudly.
He brings out a couple of glasses and hands them out, pours some drink into it. So Vi sent you? Is she finally listening to the stuff that I said?
Well, probably something like that. Let's just say that we're on a long chain of agreements that has caused us to come down here and see if we can put things to rights for you folk.
Oh, it's damn good to hear. I lost a couple of good men, those fucking things, and she claims that I'm off my rocker, that, it's just, I'm just letting these people sandbag. I know what I saw. Those creatures came out of nowhere and started attacking, bled us all out. I barely managed to get my men out of there.
Well, tell us a little bit more about exactly the chain of events that happened. When did these things first start appearing? Have they gotten better or worse? And we hear that there might be a fey creature involved that is directing their activity.
I don't know what to tell you. We were down in the mines about a week ago. Everything was going normal. Then from the main shaft A, all of a sudden, rising out, charging out of the ground, these things come swinging swords and shooting arrows at us. Like, I didn't know where they were coming from, what they were doing. Completely out of the blue, nothing to expect. We all start running forward, we're heading out. A couple of people got shot down. We got outside. I was the last one out, and they just kept charging. Once we got about 50 feet from the mine entrance, they stopped chasing us. We've tried getting closer, but anytime we get closer than about 40 feet, they start charging at us again. Swords, arrows, the whole 9 yards.
Sorry, swords and arrows? I thought they were little bunny rabbits with horns.
Yeah, they're about the size of that rat. Points at Moz.
Hey.
What did you just say about my friend?
He's a rat.
He's not wrong.
It's a rat folk, sir.
You said it in a mean way, and we won't tolerate that.
That's like calling me a snake.
Okay, I'm sorry. Jeez. Rat folk.
That's better.
What is it with you people?
Didn't you just call me a rat the previous night?
Well, yeah, I was angry.
So, that's the situation. We don't know much what's going on deep in the mine.
And you've tried approaching both day and night?
Yeah, we went a couple of times, tried to get close, see if we could drag some of the bodies away. Nothing. I don't know if they're working in shifts or what.
Have you heard tell of any being known as the Rabbit Prince?
Look, I know that Vi thinks that I'm completely off my rocker, but I know the stories that my grandma told me. This creature that controls these kinds of jackalopes, these kinds of creatures. It's the only thing that could be in charge of this. One of the rabbits just seemed too well dressed and well stand-up-ish to not be that thing. I know it sounds crazy. Look, I know.
Well, I've had a chance to do some cogitating on this, and I agree with you, something here just doesn't add up, though. See, from the information that I've gotten, I believe every word you said. Don't worry about that on that account. But from everything I have heard about this here rabbit prince, he is a fey creature of fairy, the lands beyond. But everything I have heard about them indicates that they have a severe aversion to iron. And we have witnessed this firsthand. But what you have here is, sounds like some sort of fey creature hiding out in a hole in the ground, just chock full of iron. And that just don't plumb make sense.
Now you see why I'm so confused. Makes no sense unless they're trying to... I don't know.
Unless they're trying to what?
Cut off iron production?
Well, now, that is an interesting theory. I wonder if we could negotiate our way out of this.
Good luck. If you can get past the fucking horns. God, I see them in my sleep.
Interesting. We might be able to just circumvent this whole thing with a few choice words in the right long ears. Might as well head out there during the day where we can at least see. Interesting.
Well, down in the mines, possibly not, but, I mean, we can bring torches or anything like that.
Be careful, we've seen some methane pockets.
Oh.
Down in the mines.
Maybe not torches. Who here can see in the dark? Bonesaw sticks a hand up.
Bones, would methane perhaps be flammable?
Jasper's more the one to ask about that, I think.
Yes, it is.
And if I were to say set off a minor explosion, would that be bad for the general health of the party?
Generally.
Let's just say that if it's like any measure of mines I've seen in the past, the supports would be... Dang it. The supports would be made of wood. You might cause a general cave-in, mine fire, and that would put this production even more behind schedule. Here's my thoughts. What we have here is a situation where it sounds like we have two fey beings who both want the same thing. We have Wesklin, who wants the iron rails to go around the fey area. Ooh. We have the railroad who is willing to do it if they can get a cheaper price on iron. We have a fey being in this mine who is seeking to, maybe, reduce iron availability in an attempt to slow down the railroad. Probably doesn't realize that if they could get the iron out easier, there's a whole chain of agreements going back to Wesklin that could just make this whole problem disappear. The railroad would go around. It'd be a win-win situation. We might be able to negotiate this.
It's worth a shot.
Perfect.
Assuming it's not just like a sort of general dislike of iron and not wanting iron bullets and things out there in the world, in which case we should have a plan B.
But it could very well be that is true, and it could also be that this here Rabbit Prince and Wesklin don't see eye to eye on things and have a different way of wanting to solve the situation. But it'd be worth a shot. Hey, you got any kind of a white piece of cloth and a stick?
We can probably round one up. I mean...
I'll lean over to Bonesaw and say, I'm gonna make a flag.
Oh, very clever! I like that idea.
Wold says, when you get down there, they might have taken a prisoner.
Ooh.
Might be good for you to try and help them get out.
Who they taken?
Just somebody. I don't know much.
You don't know the name?
No.
What makes you think someone's been taken?
It's just a feeling that I've got.
What? What a weird thing to say! Can you say
Sense motive!
Sense motive.
I'd like to sense motive about why he is being reluctant here.
Maybe he's just a terrible boss and doesn't know his employees' names.
Yeah, I call him Stretch. He's the tallest one of us.
Jasper and Myra, you both can tell he is hiding something.
Okay.
Myra, in particular, you can tell he's hiding something because it's probably illegal. What's going on?
How dare
And he knows exactly what's happened.
Yes, so here's the thing. We really don't have time for bullshit. I can tell you're lying about something. And I think you know it's something illegal.
Let's put it this way. If we do get into negotiations, it's going to come out.
He taps on the table a little bit and says, "How much would it cost me for this not to get back to Vi?"
How much are you willing to give?
I was gonna say, look at Bonesaw.
200 gold each.
$8,000.
How about 153? Wait, checks his slip. 153.
He taps the table and says, "The main mine shaft goes about 2 feet above where we're legally allowed to dig, above the Darklands."
Ooh.
We tapped a line down into one of their tunnels.
Oh, that's bad.
We've been getting some supplies to them and from them, and the day that all this broke, they were sending somebody up to come up. We don't know who they were or what they were doing. Just as they had gotten up, these creatures started to pour up right after them, and we all ran, and that person, the fella that came up, was still there.
The secret origin of Billy Midnight.
How do you know they weren't just killed? You said you'd lost men before. Men and women. I don't know who you employ.
We employ anyone who's willing to swing a pick, but...
Children?
Yeah, of course.
Alright.
Only the children are able to get their hands deep into those, into the mining machinery.
Stop talking before
Obviously.
I turn you in.
About my size. Perfect working physique.
Well, when we have a gas leak, they're the ones who faint first and warn the rest of us.
Wold continues. They were immediately cutting down my men when they started pouring out the jackalopes. But they didn't go after this guy. He had a hood over his head. That's all we saw.
All right, couple of questions. So this person we were talking about here was somebody who came up from the Drylands?
Yes.
All right, well, I really don't care too... I don't really care two figs one way or another about no drow. There's no skin off my teeth, so don't fret none on that. I don't care. However, where did the jackalopes come from? They also come out from the Drylands, or they come from some other...
Yeah. They came pouring up out of the hole that we have back there.
Well, that is plumb interesting.
Not sure why. Not sure how. We're nowhere near any of the ley lines.
Well, that does change negotiating a bit. Thank you for the information.
Yeah. Look, I know it's not strictly legal work that we're doing with this trading, and some might call it smuggling, but it helps keep the men in good beds, in good food.
To be honest, I've got no druthers. I don't really think we care. We're not here to go after you for that.
I ain't wearing no badge.
What sort of items are you smuggling?
Anything that we can get. Anything that our handlers down below want. Usually it's some fresh fruit. Sometimes weapons. We bring up poison. Anything that we can sell.
Understood.
All right, well, that does complicate the negotiation plan. I still think it might be worth a try, but does not seem like that's what they are after.
Do you have a specific contact amongst the drow in case we run into them and want to prove we're with you and not enemies?
Yeah, I can, but I wouldn't exactly recommend just any drow you see banning about. They're not exactly, upstanding citizens of the drow society.
Do you believe these invaders are with your former companions or trying to shut y'all's business practices down?
I don't fucking know. All I know is that we were getting paid to bring that person up, and That's all I know.
Oh, this wasn't just them visiting, like the other smugglers. This was... They were paying you to bring this person to the surface?
Yes.
But you don't have any other details?
You don't know what they looked like or anything, yeah.
No. Didn't get a name, had a hood over their head. Keep them secret so they don't know what path they're taking.
Sorry, was the person paying... I want to clarify. Was this person paying to be smuggled themselves?
I don't know that part. I just know that my handler, Lexi Smalls, that's the drow that I work with. He told me that they were bringing up a person in the next shipment that needed to get up to the surface. I don't ask questions.
So you don't know whether you were engaging in human trafficking or not, is what you're telling me?
Drow trafficking?
No. Like I said, I don't ask questions.
Well, that's sort of a shitty viewpoint to have, isn't it?
I know that the wages that we get from this smuggling work is a far sight better than the piss-poor wages that Grimstone Mining pays us. These are people with families who need the money that we get from that. I'm not going to turn down that work.
I'm not saying you shouldn't trade fruit for poison. I'm just saying that perhaps you could draw a line somewhere.
Well, I'm glad you have the luxury of that.
My biggest question is, if the jackalopes were after this person you're smuggling, why haven't they left the mines at this point? What benefit is it for them to stick around?
That's what I wonder too. I figured they would clear out after a couple of days.
Suppose we're gonna have to go and find out ourselves.
This person that was being smuggled up, I know you said you don't know nothing about them. Were they coming on their own, on their lonesome, or were they being taken up by others?
They were by themselves when they approached.
All right, that don't sound like no kind of trafficking.
All right, when you say hood, you mean like, oh, I'm going to pull this over my face to make it look mysterious, not, I have a bag over my head.
Oh, it was a bag over their head.
Well, that doesn't bode well.
That is interesting.
Maybe both? Porque no los dos?
Does it sound like maybe some sort of exile situation, maybe, or?
We do often get exiles from the Darklands. That's most of the people who come up. At least that's what I presume.
I say we go up to the mines and hope they don't shoot us on sight.
Well, good luck.
I like the flag idea.
We'll lead with that.
Well, it might help to get more information before we go in with guns blazing and fire blossoming.
No one said we're going in guns blazing.
Exactly.
But I'm not ruling out fireballs just yet. We might need a quick escape.
Yeah, well, what it takes. All right. Mr. Picknam, you want to give us a little, some directions to this here mine? And we'll go and reconnoiter and take a look and see what we can find out.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 feet to the south of us. It gives you directions to get to the mine and everything that you need. There's a little wastewater pond outside that you'll be able to go by, that you'll see carved into the wall, and you'll be able to get to it.
All right.
Is there only one entrance to the mine?
From what he tells you, yeah, with the exception of the one deep well that goes down into the Darklands.
Okay.
I suggest we leave our steeds behind.
I'm not sure I want to.
No sense in putting them at risk. They won't be useful in a mine.
A mine might be.
Well, there is some value, I suppose.
Plus, I don't want to leave it out where other people can get to it. But the other horses might be a bit skittish down there.
Understood.
Wold points and says, that thing's got fire in it. You really don't want to take it down there.
All right, but if I come back and something has happened to it, I cannot describe the things that will happen to you. Because they are very, very bad.
He's crazy. I would not cross him.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
It's got that theft alarm. I'm sure we'll hear if anyone's messing with it.
Oh, have you got any kind of map, even a rudimentary one?
Oh, it's true. A mind map might be helpful.
Yeah, give me a minute. And he walks away and comes back with a rudimentary mind map that shows the general shape and where they've closed off. One section you see is labeled as danger, cave-in risk.
At some point when we're out of sight of most people, when Jasper's out of sight of most people, Smokey is going to go back into her little statue.
Okay.
Bonesaw is going to attempt to read the manual to see if there's some kind of, like, standby alarm mode or, like, attack if somebody tries
Ballet
to...
mode.
Yeah, finds that if he takes the ears and, like, turns them down, it sets it in the alarm mode that he heard the first time.
Very cool. All right, Otto, I'll be back.
The horse nickers again in that very weird mechanical way.
Moz, I have a word with you over here. Don't worry. Ain't gonna be nothing dramatic.
What's this about, Jasper?
Well, I've been doing some cogitating.
Oh.
And, yeah, I think in some ways I gotta thank you.
What?
See, I ain't never been much of a religious person. Went to Sunday church because it was the sort of thing you do when you have a family. But, never really gave that much thought to the realities of heaven and hell, because out there in the civilized lands, you really just don't encounter much of that. But it occurs to me, and I've been thinking about it on the trail, that if there are powers of the Infernal out there, I just cannot believe that the universe is separated into mortality and eternal torment. There has to be a balance. So that means that somewhere out there is high goodness that is above us. And as much as the infernal powers seek to bring us down, I gotta believe there's something out there trying to lift us up. And it had never really occurred to me like that these might be real places and things and people that we meet when we shuffle off this mortal coil. And it gives me hope. I think you can beat this. I think there's got to be a way out. I do not think that evil is the ultimate power in our existence. And as long as you're willing to try, I'm willing to help.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Jasper. I suppose there's only one way to find out, and that's to keep going. So, we'll talk later.
Agreed.
In the meantime, let's go take a look at this mine.
Okay. Let's get on the trail.
You walk the distance to the mine.
God damn, this map is huge!
Oh, man. Oh, man.
As big as perdition, if not bigger.
You see the mine entrance down below.
I'm not sure I ever got an answer. Who all has dark vision?
I do.
I do.
I have dark vision.
Oh, okay then.
Sweet.
Amazing.
Why the heck aren't we traveling by night?
Well, I get cranky, you see.
Because your horses don't have dark vision, Jasper.
So you approach from the north. What order are you approaching in?
Ooh, is it that important?
All right, well, who's going to do the negotiating?
Moz is very intimidating. I don't think that we were trying to...
I rather had you pinned for that job, Jasper. You have such good, way of speaking, you know.
And you got that fancy flag, might as well be using it, right?
Well, I feel like I've been volunteered. All right, then, the rest of you,
Myra will cover you.
hang back or follow up as you will, but keep an eye out. And I'm going to be ready to run rabbit as soon as as might be necessary. So I'm holding in a dodge.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and cast Communal Protection from Arrows on everyone, because that'll last 9 hours, and we're expecting to run into some people shooting arrows at us.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to cast it right now, but I'll just be holding action to cast Bardic Performance, leaning towards Inspire Courage, which should just give everyone +2 on attack rolls and a few other benefits. But I think that'll be most beneficial going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to cast a personal buff that will last for 9 hours, but it only affects me. Long Strider.
Awesome.
Just gives me another 10 feet of movement. If we're going to be fighting things that probably run pretty fast, I don't want to be that outclassed.
Okay.
Also, I figured if we're going into a mine, I'm not going to need Cloak of Shadows, which protects me from sunlight.
Bonesaw hands Jasper a vial and says, "In case they happen to be speaking a language that you don't, this will help, but you should probably wait to drink it until that comes up."
Oh, all right.
So now that it's kind of out there, I'm going to use my Murky Futures ability and ask the fiddle a question. What's his name? Kian? Kip? Make yourself useful. You think they're gonna be aggressive towards us out the gate?
The fiddle, you almost feel it looking at you. Yeah, boss. They're gonna be. I guarantee, if you step forward, they're gonna start shooting.
Well,
good luck. Don't drop me. I don't like getting dirty, by the way. Can we talk, now that I'm actually talking, can I talk about how much you have gotten me so fucking dirty?
It's for your own good.
God damn it.
Last thing we need is a lawman on our ass.
Fine.
So salty. Myra's going to ready an action. She's going to post up somewhere eventually and just cover the entrance, and the first thing that pokes its head out, she's going to not shoot, but ready an action to shoot if they fire.
Okay, perfect.
I think Bonesaw is going to walk up with Jasper.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and change into mutant form. I don't know how this is going to work. It seems like I've been doing this a lot lately, and I seem to disappear for a bit. But if I stick around, then I can help, and if I don't stick around, then perhaps the other person can help. Try to get a name. That would be lovely.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about that.
Oh, yes.
We're in some downtime that we could have been doing on the trail, I guess, but yeah. I'd like to understand more about what's going on there and what I can expect.
Believe me, so would I.
All right, I've got my white flag out. I do not have weapons drawn, but at the first bullet that flies, I am ready to dodge and run.
All right. Jasper and Bonesaw approach. Give me a perception check.
20.
Also a 20.
All right. As you both approach, you see a single creature standing outside the entrance. It looks like a humanoid rabbit. It has brown fur, long pointed ears, flopped ears. However, it also has a set of horns growing out of its skull, and they are nasty, sharp antlers. It is wearing this weird, cobbled together metal and leather armor and carrying an axe. Its little nose is twitching as you approach it. It stands, like Wold said, it stands about the height of Moz. And it's looking around, and it doesn't seem to be registering you all approaching.
All right, well, here goes nothing. Howdy, feller. I'd like to have a chance to have a palaver with you.
It looks at you, its nose twitches, squadra! Points, and suddenly, arrow, javelin, come flying at you.
Okay.
From people that you did not see.
They've got good stealth.
They have very good stealth, and we are now in combat. They get a surprise round on you. You saw the one that was out, so I will say, Myra, you can take a shot at the one that...
Oh, he's actually too far.
You can shoot beyond your target range, you just take a penalty. It's like -2.
Okay, so it'll be a -3. So the second those arrows come out, the closest and the first one that she sees is going to take a bullet.
Okay, and then everybody roll for initiative.
Ooh, not good.
Especially considering you're our negotiator.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Myra, you hit the one at the top with your bullet. The protection from bullets, does that...
Yeah, the warded creatures gain resistance to ranged weapons. The subject gains damage reduction 10 versus magic against ranged weapons. This spell doesn't grant you the ability to damage creatures with similar damage reduction. Once the spell absorbs 10 points of damage per caster level, maximum 100 points, so 90 points for us. For a subject, the spell's effect ends for that subject.
Okay, everybody write that down somewhere for how much you're going to absorb. Jasper, since you're the one who spoke up, The javelin slams into the ground, barely missing your foot. The longbow that is shot by the second one that is carrying a bow and is wearing more fur and feathers and stuff. The arrow slams into you, completely bypassing the shield. You see it just straight through, and you take 10 points of damage. It was a magic weapon.
Okay, got it.
This one charges forward and is going to throw a javelin at Bonesaw. The javelin slams into you, but it only does 4 points of damage, and it is not magic, so
no points of damage?
no points of damage. 4 to the shield.
That doesn't hardly hurt at all. Listen, we're just here to talk.
This one rushes up towards you. Moz, your turn.
Well, those rabbits are getting mighty close to all you, and kind of feeling like a fireball's coming up, so instead we're just gonna give you guys some little fire protection. My treat.
All right, you see the ranger rushes over, and you see them point at their bow, and whoom, suddenly it seems like the entire thing gets much, much bigger and much more powerful. Bonesaw, you're up.
I wanted to clarify, I think before I said comprehend languages, but I meant tongues, which lets you understand and speak. So that's what Jasper has.
Okay.
Bonesaw, who is already in his mutant form, I want to try to grapple this guy next to me and just, hold him so he can't hit anyone.
Okay. CMB, trying to hit 17.
I got a 30.
Yeah, you have him grappled, very much so.
Oh my god.
You grab the rabbit by his ears and just lift him up.
I'm not trying to be mean to him. I'm just trying to hold his arms.
He just wants
Okay,
a
you
hug.
hold his arms.
Listen, we just want to talk. All right?
Myra, you're up.
Okay, the guy with the bow and arrow, she's gonna use a grit point to knock the weapon out of his hands.
Oh, you jerk.
His or her hands. So we'll see if it works.
You're not familiar with jackalope anatomy enough to immediately know if it is male or female.
Okay. She moves and she's gonna take a shot. That's a 30.
It's a 30 to hit.
Damn.
Oh, and actually it's -1 for my finger and then it's -2 because it's out of my range. So it's really a 27.
Oh, gee.
Whoa.
Yeah, only a
gee,
27.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hits.
On a hit, target takes no damage.
But he drops the weapon. Okay, you shoot the bow and it just ping and falls to the ground. The jackalope holds his arm. He is now disarmed. Jasper, you're up.
God dang it, you dang long-eared galoot. Here's a flag of truce. And I'm gonna haul off and shoot him.
You're not gonna drink the potion that lets you talk and understand them?
Oh, you're right.
You can do what you want, but
No. He
Want the insult to land.
is about to shoot and then realizes, oh yeah. All right, action, I suppose, to down the potion.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I think I'm just going to take a 5-foot step.
Okay.
And I'm going to get behind the, God, I can't remember the name of the thing at the end of a rail line. The bulwark.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to get some cover there, hopefully. But down the potion, I'm going to reach over, pick up the dang flag where I dropped it, and say, hey, this is a flag of truce. We want to talk.
You suddenly understand the one that Bonesaw is holding is saying, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. I am a proud warrior. You must not handle me. Stop manhandling me. Stop it. The jackalope that is behind some distance and isn't being grappled is yelling, for the jackalope prince.
The jackalope prince.
Mm-hmm. And the ranger in the back, who seems to be slightly more intelligent than the others, is yelling, get them, get them. We need to... They're trying to surrender. We can't let them get deep in. We must protect the jackalope prince.
Well, seems like diplomacy broke down. Time for Plan B. Plan B standing for Fireball.
But no actual response to directly to me.
Correct.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah, it seems that the jackalope ranger was probably the most seemed cued in. The other two are just focused in on fighting. I believe that brings us around to the first jackalope. It's just going to hack at you, Bonesaw, since you're holding it. It takes only a -2 penalty to its attack. The axe that it's carrying, it slams it into you once, twice. Neither one are going through your jacket, and then it brings its antlers down and tries to gore at you, and it just scrapes along the leather jacket, doing no damage.
You know, that tickles a little bit, but you should really be careful. I don't want scratches on this armor.
This one is going to move to the far side of Jasper, and it's going to do the same attack.
That didn't trigger any kind of an opportunity attack, though, did it?
Oh, you have claws, which are a melee attack, as a zombie.
Yeah.
So yes, it does trigger an attack of opportunity.
I'm going to hold off on it. I am going to show the claws, but I'm going to pull them back. You idiot! We want to talk, not fight!
Okay. It still attacks, but you do see that it actually pauses after it attacks and kind of cocks its head and says, "Why don't you fight back?"
Do I get the sense that I can understand him, but he can't understand me?
He understands you, but it seems like this is the first time that anything's breaking through to him.
Okay.
Moz, you're up.
Oh no. Did somebody say boom?
They've had plenty of opportunity. If they can't hear Jasper at this point, they're gonna suffer the consequences. We're gonna cast Fireball, and we're gonna engulf everyone in some unholy flames. Alright, let me get this...
Oh, jeez.
Well, there goes any chance of pulling this out.
Yeah, well, they've had their chance.
All right.
It'll definitely...
Oh, thank you.
Hey, you're still protected. You do get a -20 fire resistance from the bardic performance that I threw out.
Ah.
Do we need to roll a reflex save? I'm holding the one that's getting flamed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you do need to make a reflex save, Bonesaw.
Okay.
DC 17.
I get a 13.
I got a 12.
Okay, let me roll for these guys. Go ahead and roll your attack for the fire.
23 fire damage.
So you guys will take 3.
There is a feature to my rage mutagen that I can't remember if I've forgotten about it or we just haven't fought anyone in a very long while, but when I take damage, I have to roll a will save or consequences.
What kind of consequence?
Consequences being that I steadily drop in intelligence until I go unconscious.
Oh!
Holy shit.
Yeah. I succeeded.
Okay, 2 of the creatures succeeded. The jackalope that Bonesaw was carrying is not looking good.
Moz, I know you're trying to help. We're trying to keep them not being toasted, though, in case we want to talk.
Well, maybe they'll listen more when they're on the edge of death.
You see the jackalope that's down below picks up his bow, looks at all of you, and then starts running.
Damn it.
Help! Help! Intruders! Intruders! That's as far as he gets, though. Bonesaw, you're up. You still have the guy grappled.
If I drink an extract of fly, can I bring this guy with me when I go tackle the one that's running into the mine?
Yeah, just roll a CMB, and if you succeed, you'll carry him with you.
Okay. I rolled a 29 for my combat maneuver bonus. Bonesaw's just going to tuck this poor jackalope under his arm, down a potion, and then scoot himself over to this one and say, "Listen, I don't know if you can understand me, but we're really, really trying not to hurt you, and you're making it very difficult."
Jasper, you hear the one that Bonesaw's carry just... Are you landing in front of it, or are you still, like, off the ground?
I'll land in front of it.
As you're going past, it looks up and crouches down, boom, jumps into the air, and immediately, boom, right into your gut with its antlers. Take 5 points of damage as it gores you.
Damn it!
You guys are being awful nice to a bunch of dumbass rabbits.
They're so fucking cute, though.
That's no excuse.
Oh, I need to roll another will save.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I rolled a nat 1!
Oh no!
I'm gonna look up what happened.
Oh, what does that mean?
I probably just go down 2.
I think diplomacy's off the table for Bonesaw as well now.
It's gonna be harder.
Myra, you're up.
She's just going to use a full round action, and she's not going to shoot. That's her turn. She just moves a bunch.
Okay, Jasper.
Jasper is going to draw his weapon, but not point it. Last chance! Do we talk or do we fight? And I'm going to ready an action so that if he attacks me, I will shoot him.
Okay, make a diplomacy check.
All right.
7. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, pal.
You can go ahead and roll your attack.
Okay. I am using deadly aim, so it's -3 + 6. Point blank, because he's under 30 feet.
Yep.
And I have precise shot, which means I don't take the -4 for firing at somebody in melee.
Perfect.
That is a 23 to hit
That definitely hits.
for 13 bludgeoning and piercing.
Oof, yeah, that hurts him bad. He attacks, that hits, and deals 7 points of damage with his axe as he cuts into you.
Okay.
For his actual rolls, the first one hits and does 7 points of damage. And then he goes to gore you with his antlers, but he drives them into the ground and looks like he missed really bad, except as he does, his antler glances off the ground and up into you, like he just got very lucky. And it hits you, take 5 more points of damage.
Ouch!
Bonesaw, you're carrying this one. It's gonna try and attack you at a -4 penalty. Miss, miss, miss. It's just struggling and yelling at you and beating on you.
You're lucky you're cute.
Moz, you're up.
So we're gonna do sound burst, but using my fiddle, we're going to turn it to fire damage, which would grant Jasper resistance, and I believe that should have enough range to hit the bastard that tried to take him out last round with his antlers. So I believe that's a... Wow, it's only 4 sonic damage?
That's enough. You just... boom, and the jackalope that attacked Jasper is turned into a candle.
Cool. And that doesn't affect Jasper at all.
Yep.
You're awfully solicitous of my health today.
You got a nice breeze. Oh yeah, look out.
Bonesaw, what is your CMD?
CMD is 24.
This jackalope runs, jumps, and just completely 360 over you and runs deeper into the mine.
No, I just... Oh, damn it.
And it is still yelling, "Intruder! Intruder!"
All right, new plan. Who has rope?
Say less.
Shoot, it's on Smokey.
Bonesaw is going to carry the one that he's holding over to this little minecart, and he's going to try to tie it up and put it in the minecart so we can just bring it with us as we go in.
Just pop them down and wheel them in.
I'm just going to collect them. I'm going to keep putting them in the cart until they're ready to talk.
Now sit.
Just a pot. Bring out your dead.
What do I roll to tie it up while I have it grappled?
Make one more CMB check.
16.
Yeah, that's enough. He is yelling up a storm. "Unhand me, you cur! You worthless piece of planar trash!" Yelling this whole thing. Only Jasper can understand it, but you have tied up a jackalope and put it into the wagon.
Is he pretty visible in the wagon?
No, he's pretty small, and this is a decently sized wagon.
Can I, heft a big rock in or something? I want them to be able to see him and that he's a prisoner.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay.
And with that, your first prisoner taken.
First of many.
Far from the last.
Gotta catch 'em.
You all turn to go deeper into the Pozo Oscuro mines.
Dust and Blood is a Rolling Path production featuring Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Blake Alfson as our GM, Zach Parker as Moz Copernicus Pryor, Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, and myself, Gail Parker as Bonesaw. Our theme song is Dust and Blood by Arne Parrott, and other music throughout this recording is provided by Kevin Macleod, Tabletop Audio, Dark Fantasy Studios, and the Desperados 3 original game soundtrack by Filippo Beck Peccoz. Transcripts, detailed sound credits, and more can be found on our website at DustAndBloodPod.com. You can follow us on X and Facebook at DustAndBloodPod, or support us through our Patreon at Dust and Blood, where you can join our community Discord and get perks like our behind-the-scenes discussion show, The Roundup. We're so grateful for the support of our fans, people like Wubbatub, Miss Blevins, Barbara, and 50 Sloths of Grey. Dust and Blood releases monthly on the 1st, and our next episode is coming at you on December 1st. Content warnings can be found in every episode description, and we hope you enjoy exploring this fantasy western with us. Thanks for listening.
My eyes shoot open to the early morning sun. I feel that aching, pounding, poking of a bullet in my lungs. Skinny ceiling, bones crunching. I feel that wretched ancient something drag me up to face that coward son of a gun. His face grows wide as he fumbles for his holster. I feel the lead pierce my shoulder, neck, and chest. I scream that I have died 100 times and lived 1,000 years, and I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best. Yes, I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best.
I'd like to pause for a moment to note Blake's evil smile on his face.
I am just so fucking glad that this has all come out.
This is amazing. Y'all are doing great.
Yes.
I'm like shaking a little bit. This is insane.
My biggest question after reading the contract is, are we going to have an arc at some point where we go to Dis in Hell and try to oh no, it's actually a Tuesday, but they're only open Monday, Friday, and try to navigate these
I caught that
bureaucratic rules to try to get an appeal from us's contract.
You people are on that papal Gregorian calendar, eh? No, we're still on the Divine Julian calendar.
See, that's actual hell.
You read my fucking mind, you jerk.
Oh, we could just camp outside the office until they open. Then we don't have to figure it out.
Oh, you'll be arrested for hell loitering.
Yep. Deep in the Arizona desert, at a small, dilapidated ranch house, two graves sit side by side. As a light snow begins to fall, a mottled, clawed hand bursts from the hard ground. A hulking creature, twisted and rotted, pulls itself out of the dirt. Its lambent eyes fix on the east, and it growls. Sting! In a cozy home east of Perdition late one night, Wilmington leans over a table. The beads of sweat on his forehead are illuminated by the low kerosene lamp. He gasps in pain as his shaky hands pull another scale from his arm, dropping on the growing pile on the ground. He looks up, eyes darting around in fear and panic, until they fall onto a bowie knife stabbed into the table. A gob of scaled flesh squelches onto the ground. Deep in the Colorado Rockies, in a massive temple of green-yellow stone, two men in pure white robes walk down a row of blazing braziers to the foot of a massive throne wreathed in flame. Your scorched eminence, we have received a telegram from a trusted source. There seems to be a rash of undeath in Perdition, New Mexico. What say you, mighty Samson? A heavy hammer slams into the ground, splintering the stone. The armored figure upon the throne rumbles. Cleanse them with fire and flame. In the noontime sun in Santa Fe, the streets are bustling. Shops are open, a poker game is roaring in the saloon, and the monthly payroll is being unloaded into the Second National Bank. A tanned woman with a scorpion tattoo on her neck leans against the saloon wall. She pulls a silver pocket watch out of her vest, checks it, returns it to her pocket. She nods to a couple of folk in the street, and raps on the saloon wall. As she steps away, a fight suddenly erupts at the poker game. She strolls toward the bank, an odd assortment of drow, dwarves, and tengu falling in behind her. She pulls a handkerchief over her face as she kicks open the bank door. Her compatriots spread out as she fires a shot into the ceiling. This is a robbery, copains. Touch iron, and you best be prepared to die with your boots on. Just south of Phoenix, in a secluded gully, a tall, sallow elf with black vestments speaks to a group, a burning censer spreading a cloying incense among the kneeling followers. He speaks of fire and brimstone and death. And we lowly sinners are bound to suffer, and we shall do our duty, commit our sin, to bring about our heaven on this earth. Are there any who are worthy? A young dwarf, her beard barely beyond her chin, stands and approaches. Thank you, my daughter. You will be blessed this day. He suddenly whips the censer around, cracking it against her skull. I name you blessed. He smacks her again, driving her to her knees. In the name of the fallen mothers. A third blow drives her to the ground. The rising god. Blood begins to pool in the intricate carvings on the ground. And the golden fields of Elysium. Gouts of blood coat the followers as the elf beats the dwarf, her body unmoving. Finally, a glow begins to rise from the ground. Yes, yes, today, my brothers and sisters, we succeed where none have done so before. Blessed be. At the Albuquerque railway station, a conductor blows a whistle, announcing the all-aboard call for perdition. An elf in a long, flowing purple dress stands and brushes a bit of soot from her gown. She snaps her fingers and an attendant joins her, carrying 2 suitcases with him. She strolls forward, heading for the front car. The conductor holds out a hand. Sorry, miss. This here is reserved for Southern Diamondback folk. She interrupts him. Not with words, but by running a finger down his face. His eyes go wide, he bows and says, Sorry, Miss Blackburn, you are free to go. He steps back, still bowing, as Miss Blackburn steps aboard the train. She turns and nods to the attendant who, setting down one of the suitcases, pulls a shiny dime out of the pocket and places it in the conductor's palm. In an opulent office deep in the city of Dis, Titavilius broods in a large leather chair, a massive stack of contracts ignored on the desk. He idly plucks at a golden fiddle on his lap before tossing it aside. That ignorant rat threatens to break everything I've built if he doesn't start holding up his end of the bargain. He starts to walk over to a crumpled and burnt figure laying on the ground. And if you'd pick somebody who actually would read the contract, I wouldn't have to worry about any of this. He kicks the figure. But it's your lucky day. A chance to redeem yourself. Go back up there, challenge him, win back your title. Do this and I'll shave some time off of your sentence. Fail. He pulls the figure up into the sitting position, revealing an old lizard folk, skin blistered and blackened. And I will consume your soul bit by little bit, Mr. Tempter.